Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm gonna leave this on for a few seconds because I actually wanted to check this out, but I don't know when OBS is gonna switch the screen on me. You guys know how that goes. I try to front run it, see if maybe that'll fix it. We'll see. What's going on? So there's literally no agenda for today. I purposely just wanted to connect with everybody, set some time, like literally just to like hang out as traders. So we can dive into and out of whatever ends up popping up. This thing caught my interest just because to see how larger institutions are planning on positioning around Trump and his plans is actually kind of important. So who do we have in the chat? We got Tommy, Reese, Lauren, David, Ollie Poppin. That's a fun name. J5D, great to see you all. Matthew says no sound. Yep, that is entirely by design. Oh yeah, it looks like Lauren pointed that out. Yeah, thank you, Lauren, for highlighting that I'm just not, I mean, I am incompetent, but I'm not that incompetent. The reason why we do this, in case anybody's wondering, is if I play this with sound, there's like a detection thing on the background that immediately will kill the stream. Not immediately, but a couple seconds in, it'll literally nuke the stream. So this is no sound. And it's actually why their heads are cut off, is so that I wanted to make sure that the subtitles actually were able to be visible. Because I guess the screen that I have over here is a little bit too wide. I didn't even know that. But the screen on this side is like, I don't even know what it is, but it's too big for like the standard, whatever this allows me to have on. Also, fun fact, got to keep it a buck. I literally just got YouTube Premium, and it is a game changer. Literally a freaking game changer. Also, I realize I need to widen this out just a little bit. I don't know if I can do that. Nope, don't want to make myself bigger, that's for sure. Don't want to do that. Nope. This is kind of fun. It's just like seeing my head float. That's okay. It looks like we're just staying there. But yeah, one of the things, I don't know if you guys saw, I actually haven't fact checked it yet, but I need to look and see about the Trump on Department of Education on DOE. I want to see if this is actually true. So this is from the Washington Post. Let me I'm going to stop this. I'll take us out of full screen. Kill that for now. And then let's take a look at this. And then I need to grab the chat. All right, there we go. So yeah, this, I caught this a little earlier today, where it looks like Trump pledged to close the education department. What would that mean? Which is really interesting. I don't know. Let's read through it, because I actually don't know what this means just yet, but I'm curious to find out what it does. Sweeping changes federal agencies. I love this. This is probably one of my favorite things so far. And again, the reason why I'm talking about this is not because I like talking about politics. I actually really don't. I don't find them that interesting. But I like understanding upcoming changes in news, because you had better believe it's all tradable. And that genuinely is the case. This stuff is very tradable. So I look to approach this from the mindset of understanding how this impacts the way to make money. Closing the department, an on and off Republican goal since '79, which is really interesting, actually, would require congressional approval. Unlikely Trump would have sufficient support. Trump has made promise often. Many Republicans are with him, arguing that the department is unnecessary and effective and a tool of woke culture. That's really, really, really interesting. So what I need to do now is we need to grab a new thread from Perplexity, and we need to ask some questions. So what does the Department of Education do? Because I'm not even gonna lie, I don't I don't actually know. So let's grab Perplexity. We can take a look at this together. And let's see. So Department of Education, ED, yo, careful throwing around ED. Listen, if you have ED, the gas station got you in spades. Don't even worry about it. The solution to ED is more accessible and cheaper than ever. You just drop by your gas station. They'll have a couple really interesting pills and stuff. You grab one that's like holographic, like a fucking Pokemon card, and then you'll be Gucci. Roaring Titty says, "Hey, yo, Roaring Titty's here. What up?" Roaring Titty says, "Great. A country full of dummies is in our future." I don't think the DOE is contributing to that, because the DOE was launched in 79 and our rankings have plummeted as an institution. So first, let's finish this and then let's look at like actual rankings. So promoting educational excellence. Okay. I don't really know what that means, but interesting. Financial aid management. Okay. Data collection. Okay. Policy department. Clearinghouse. I'm not going to lie. This is oh crap. Siri is listening to everything I'm saying right now. Chill out, Siri. I don't know, because I'm not going to lie. This is a lot less than I thought they did. I thought that they would maybe, and I just don't know this much because my mom has always been a contractor, but my mom has worked for in occupational therapy for mentally disabled kids. So I don't know much about the school system from like a broader perspective. But if somebody would have made me guess, I would have guessed that the Department of Education set standards. Like these are the standards that you have to hit. Yeah. Roaring Titty says, look at 5, works to prohibit discrimination and ensure equal access to education for all students. Yeah, that's good. Again, I'm just curious what that actually means now. I don't know what any of this means from like this. See, Perplexity knows my questions. Let's see. Roaring Titty says he wants to do away with that. So the thing to, again, I don't want to go too far down into policy and like him doing what or this doing that. But I think we can all probably mutually agree that nobody actually wants our kids to be dumb. Like nobody in Democrat, Republican, nobody in the US political sphere would actually say like, yes, I want our kids to be dumb. So if somebody is making the decision to try to do away with something like this, it's not, again, from my perspective, from the context of, oh, I want people to be dumb, or I want there to be discrimination so that only some people can get education. I just don't think that's the perspective. My guess is the perspective is this is very likely a super wasteful federal arm, like most of them are. Again, I already told you my experience in the military on active duty in the Marine Corps. It's crazy how wasteful it is. It's literally insane. So I'm not arguing for getting rid of it or keeping it. I don't know. As you could tell, I literally don't know anything about it. But I'm just saying, I think it's important when we look at this stuff that we try to approach it from an objective, logical standpoint. So let's see what they do. So they investigate complaints of discrimination, conduct compliance reviews, and technical assistance to educational institutions. Like, yeah, I don't know why this can't be done somewhere else, like at a more local level, so to speak. I just don't know. But anyways, this is interesting because this overall function behaves differently than I would have thought. And Tommy says the US DOE budget for 24 is $238 billion. See, like, I don't even know how much that is. Like, obviously, as a gross dollar amount, it sounds like a ton, but I just don't know what that is in context of other stuff. But let's take a look at this next, just out of curiosity. I don't know the correct way to phrase it, so we'll maybe try a couple different permutations, but we'll do like US K through 12 school rankings global. Let's see what that does. Because I just don't know. But my guess is everything that I've read is that our rankings are not good. Shows mixed international standardized test, public perception. Only 28% of the US believe that we're in the best of the world. Top country for education, best countries. Global University, here we go. Whoa, that's actually way more expensive than I would have thought. $17,280 per pupil annually. That's really interesting. Huh. It only spends 3.2% of GDP on K through 12 public education, which is lower than other developed countries. Like, that sucks. And again, this is the kind of thing where, to the point of, I think somebody above, I think to the point of somebody above, like, I'm not sure that like getting rid of it is the right move. But again, like, this says 3.2% GDP on K through 12 public education. I don't know if that's relegated to Department of Education, right? So this could mean 3.2% of GDP. Well, let's see. Let's see what this says. Because I don't know. Okay. Okay. I'm just kind of clicking through all these different things to see. So this is from OECD.org. I don't know what this is. Direct expenditure by public entities on educational institutions, as well as educational related subsidies given to households. So I don't know. I don't think this would cover DOE. My guess is DOE wouldn't fit into this. That's just a guess. Again, I don't know. But that's my guess, is because this looks like it's saying direct expenditure by public entities on educational institutions. I don't know if they would consider DOE an educational institution versus like a government oversight institution. That's more so what it seems to be to me. So IDK. But that, I mean, that's fascinating to me. So taking this back though, the next question to ask Perplexity then is, what stocks are most closely integrated with public education? Let's see. Because my guess is, if we take a look at some of these stocks tomorrow, some of them might not do well. Again, don't know. We'll need to see. But LRN, K12 Inc., Stride, what does it do? Education Management Organization, Virtual Learning Solutions. Okay, so let's see. Chegg? I guess Chegg does, but I don't know about Chegg. Off Putin says, if feds don't continue to help fund the poorer areas' schools, then those local properties taxes will have a tough time providing them out education. Oh, I completely agree with that. Again, my guess is I think too many people don't take the time to actually understand the implications of things, right? So I think a lot of the discussion I see going on in the conversation in the chat is, it seems like a lot of people are making the leap that closing the education department means that closes funding for those schools. And again, maybe you guys know it's the case and I don't, but I don't know if that's the case yet. So depending on if that is the case or not, which my guess is it wouldn't be. I don't know why that would go through this entity based on what it talks about what they do. Then I think there's a false leap happening. I think we're making the leap from closing DOE to stopping all government spending on public education. And I just don't see that yet. I think we're going too far, at least based on what we see so far. Villalobos says school funding is 90% local, state, 10% federal. Right. And I don't know if they're talking about the federal support stopping. Again, this is talking about closing this department, DOE. But I think closing the DOE is not inherently the same as that. Merv says, so who would be giving the funds? Yeah, let's see. It's a great question. I genuinely don't know. Let's find out. So for federal funding of public, let's rephrase this. How does federal funding of public schools work? Let's see. Because another thing that I would love to see at some point is the bloat around colleges fixed. Because I'm one of those kids that there was 0% chance I was ever going to be able to go to college unless I got the Marine Corps scholarship that I fortunately ended up winning, which gave me a full ride to school. Obviously, there was a commitment, and that's not why I did it, by the way. I wanted to enlist, but my mentor at the time essentially made me feel selfish for wanting to enlist, and he directed me to go be an officer, and to be an officer, you have to go through an undergrad degree. So anyways, there was no chance I was going to do that without that scholarship, because the debt was going to be too crazy. And I think that college have gotten just wildly priced, fucking wildly priced. It's usury. And it's really cool to see this starting to change. I'm really happy, actually, to see that big change happening right now, where lots of people are starting to go through trade schools. They're learning how to weld. They're opening HVAC companies. They're getting into plumbing again. And those people are crushing people that went to an undergrad for fucking basket weaving, which is awesome. All right, let's see. So how does this go through? Federal funding, public schools, complex system. Yep. Supplement funding. Okay. Comes primarily through DOE. Okay. There it is. So then we need to understand from how that funding, if DOE were to close, because that's a massive concern then. DOE through other federal agencies also contribute. The major sources include ESA, replace No Child Left Behind, IDEA, and Nutrition Act. Y'all know school nutrition in the US is fucking trash. Is absolutely trash. Roy Titty says people aren't worried about this for no reason. I wouldn't suggest that. But based on seeing the bulk of people and the discussions I see about policies like this, I think the bulk of the people are grossly misinformed, and they don't even take the time to do a cursory search like this to understand like what we're upset about. I'm not saying everybody, but Roy Titty says it would seriously impact a huge number of people negatively. Potentially. Again, we can't look at stuff quite in such a vacuum, because we don't know, which we need to look up, because if Trump were to close the DOE, that obviously does unlock budget. And I'm not sure, maybe you are, but I haven't seen anything yet in our search, which we need to continue. But I haven't seen anything yet that says that they would just be close DOE and then that's it, wash hands, move on. I haven't seen that yet. So I think we have to understand what it is before we, again, make the assumptions, because I don't know. Title I. Okay. Federal government provides 8 to 14% of total public school funding. So it's really not that significant in terms of total funding, which is kind of shitty. That would have been nice if that was more than that. In fiscal year 22, federal funding for K to 12 totaled $119 billion. That sucks. I don't really love that. Most federal funds are sent to state education agencies. Okay, cool. So this is helpful. So now we can look at this to better understand it. except there's nothing here. So Trump DOE policy. Let's see if he has anything here. Take a look at this. Repeatedly vowed, yeah. But experts warn unlikely the federal government will be able to be hands off government regulation, even if the department is closed. Okay. It was created in 1979 by Carter, an example of government oversight into the daily lives of Americans. Oh, I see. So his position is more pushing it down to the state level. Poor investment, claiming the U.S. spends 3 times more money on education than any other nation, and yet, well, this doesn't seem accurate at all, does it? Yeah, this seems completely false. So we just saw in terms of spend, where was this? Up. The fuck was this? It was up here, right? That we just looked at this? This. And then from here, we went to, where was it? Not this, this. Had to go back through the trail. So in 2020, yeah, so this is patently false. 3 times more money on education than any other nation. It looks to me like Iceland does that. 4.78%. Maybe he's talking in gross terms. That could be accurate. That's probably it. It's misleading. So my guess is he's talking in gross terms, because if we're doing this in context of GDP, 3.3% of US GDP is fucking massive compared to, 4.78% of Iceland GDP. That's why we put it in the context of GDP, because it fucking normalizes it. Because again, this statement, I understand it now, but this is obviously a political statement, right? He's saying this because it's factually true. It's more impactful, but as a percentage of GDP, it's not accurate. So, okay. And then let's see this. Most well-developed public education systems. So I don't know what this means. These rankings are always difficult for me to get my arms around because it takes so much time to understand the methodology. So I'm going to read through this from the context of, I don't know anything about this. I would have to know a lot more about the ranking system, the way, like this, the way that they do the ranking, because this is super important. Scored on 73 country attributes based on a collection of individual survey responses. Okay. Sub rankings. Where are the attributes though? Says. Okay. Well, anyways, this is the point that I'm making. It takes a lot of time to get to the bottom of this shit. But let's just go through this. Denmark, Sweden, UK, Finland, Germany, Canada, Norway. Norway is sick. I like Norway a lot. Japan, Switzerland, Australia. Okay. Yep. Basically claimed that the DOE is staffed by many people who in many cases hate our children. That's just inflammatory. We want states to run the education of our children because they'll do a much better job of it. You can't do worse. I don't actually hate this, but it does, at least in my opinion, it comes down to what happens to the spend, right? If he's talking about getting rid of the federal level entity and then routing that money to the states, actually, then the states would have more money. So I think I like it from that perspective. But Vladimir says, once AGI arrives, human education won't matter. The movie Idiocracy was a documentary from the future. I don't think so at all. Even with something like AGI, again, any sort of intelligence protocol is useful and can do a lot of stuff. However, the human element is still required. It's just a different type of skill set. Like, I still think it was crazy during high school for me that I spent as much time as I did in calculus, like stuff that I genuinely have never used in my life. Now, there's an argument to be made about using that for like a learning process and being better at understanding complex topics. I can see that, but I've not deployed essentially any of it that I can think of, like pretty much at all. Even algebra, like basic algebra is super important, I think, but then it gets to a spot like the amount of time that I spent, learning about triangles and the relationships between triangles. I don't fucking remember any of that, but I remember that was a big deal at the time, knowing the difference between these different triangles and shit. So, Royantini says there are elements of calculus and trading, though. From a theoretical perspective, yes, in our understanding of it. But we are, as retail traders, we're not the one coming up with financial theory. And we can easily pick up a book and learn about the differential equations that are used in something like the Black-Scholes-Merton model, right? So if a trader is going to go work at a quant level institution, that's completely different. I think that you would have to have mastery of theoretical math. But from a retail trading perspective, you literally don't, you can be a successful retail trader with a fucking high school education. And you can trade options and derivatives and do just fine at it. It just becomes a much more task-defined education, right? So like, do you have to go through all of calculus to be able to understand what a differential equation is? I don't think so. I think it might help you, but you can absolutely learn about differential equations without going through that. Or same thing from understanding things like geometric Brownian motion, shit like that. You can learn a lot of the key functions without the formal education, I think. I'm not saying that learning that stuff in school is bad. Again, I think there's something to be said about just being able to learn complex things that are difficult. I think that's a good skill set in general. So, yeah. All right, so let's take a look at this. I don't know what Agenda 47 is. Yeah. Push plans from years old platforms. Okay. Agenda 47 consists of proposals, campaign on his website during the primary for 22, 23. Many require congressional action. Okay. Project 2020. God damn. This is what I hate about doing this shit. It takes so much fucking time. God damn it. You gotta like go through these fucking rabbit holes. You gotta look at Agenda 47. That sounds like a fucking video game, which is not to be confused with Project 2025. The government. The government. Yeah. Where is this shit? The American Academy? Shifting excess large endowments from private universities towards new institutions called American Academy. I don't know what that is. I have to look at that. Homeschool families. Okay. Yes. Hey, death penalty. Hell yeah. We're getting back to our roots. Good old death penalty. I mean, I remember I read this book about like different kinds of medieval torture, and humans are really imaginative with how terrible we can be to one another. Depleted military, fine. Students from the radical left, Marxist maniacs. Okay. Tuition costs at colleges have been exploding. That's true. So I'm wondering how they will change that. College accreditation system. Supposed to ensure that schools are not ripping off students and taxpayers, but they failed. Okay. Kind of like this. That's kind of cool. Cementing fair and reciprocal trade. Yeah, where's the fucking DOE? I mean, that's a nice idea. I don't know how you're going to do that. Citizenship, birth tourism. Where is the DOE stuff? Homeless, drug addicts. Yeah. Deep state. This part's kind of cool because I think one of the cool things about a president like Trump, it's like the same thing when there's any president that's in a second term. They literally have nothing to lose at that point. So you get a chance. They're going to be more aggressive. And again, if you like their policies, that's good. If you don't like their policies, it's unfortunate. But I just like that it's less of a political dance. American workers. Yeah, this is. I just want to know about the DOE thing. Free speech, aliens, intelligence community. That's kind of cool. Yeah, okay. So I didn't find anything in there that I wanted to learn about. Sick. Having parents elect school principals. That's cool as fuck. I love that. That's such a great idea. That's such a great idea. Literally let the majority of local parents decide what they like. Big fan. Getting rid of existing creditors. We already hit that. A free online American Academy. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Crime, justice. Okay. I've had enough political fucking whatever. I just wanted to know the potential impact from this stuff, which I think we have an idea. Surrounding education also outline orders for schools, like cutting funding for any school teaching critical race theory or transgender insanity. I honestly didn't know that there was like transgender teaching in school. I am very dubious of that. Credentialing teachers, patriotic values. Yeah, okay, fine. Federal funds will be handled without the federal agency. Yeah, so this is the main thing that I wanted to see, which is we don't know the answer. How many of the department's responsibilities, like assigning federal funds, would be handled without the agency has not been made clear. So this, I think, would be the next really important thing for us to be able to identify. Roston says there's not source. I'm a teacher. My guess is it's probably just going to be dependent on where you are. I'm sure some places won't have it. Based on this, I'm assuming some places will. Zach says my cousin is a teacher and he said there is. Yeah, exactly. So my guess is just going to be an artifact of where you are. Villalobos says, don't hate trans people. That's not cool. Extent of trans talk in my California colleges. That's solid. I like that. I mean, I think the idea of just like be a good human being to other humans is universal. I think that's great. All right, so let's see the rest about this though. Closing the DOE would require congressional action and a supermajority of 60 votes in Senate. Republicans won back control of the Senate in last week's election, but remain several votes shy of 60, meaning any action requiring 60 votes would need the support of some Democrats. Closing the department was included as an amendment in 23 House votes. 60 Republicans voted against it. Okay, so it looks like they're mixed. I'm curious what the incentives are for the Senate, like on the voting components there. I just don't know anything about it, so I am not gonna speculate. No idea. Okay, cool. So that's super interesting though, because seeing that come out leads me back up to this. Where was it? Not this, this. And I want to look at these. So we have, let me pop out a chart for us. Grab this bad boy. All right. So we need to look at LRN. Not what I would have expected at all. That's surprising. CHGG. It's a fucking penny stock. TWOU. Don't even know what that is. ATGE. Wow. These are doing so much better than I would have expected. Jesus. What do these guys do? Top companies in the education and training services industry. I wonder if their idea is that this is actually going to stimulate more spend directly in companies like this versus getting sucked up by government. Because these are much higher than I would have thought. It's like the most illiquid stock on planet Earth. So UTI. Interesting. So we'll have to see how these will... We'll have to see how these do. This is much stronger than I ever would have expected. I have to be completely honest. It's quite surprising to me. No shit. There is another thing that I want to talk about. And this. I don't want to dox the person here. So I want to show you this. This is from the Discord, but it's a good learning lesson, I think. So that's why I want to talk about it. So this is talking about, I'm sure a lot of you in GameStop probably saw the 40s out in 17 Jan 25. So like 66 DTE from now. I'm assuming a lot of you saw those getting super, super active. So with that, I'm wondering, oh man, the little string on my pants zipper. I hate it. It came untied. It's the worst. So now I got to flip these pants around. But anyways, going back to this while I'm tying this, they were talking about those 40 calls that were being hit today. There was a couple really large transactions in them. And one of the things that they had mentioned is that they need a 60% move in 2 months to make any money. So what's wrong with this statement? I actually referred them to a video that I thought was important for them to watch to help learn this. But I think it's a general good learning point. Anytime I can talk about this topic, I do, because I think most options traders that are new to this they think the same thing. And it's a critical error. The reason why it's a critical error is because this impacts the way that you design trades. And if you design a trade with this as your understanding, then you might design something completely different if you have a otherwise different understanding. This is way more difficult than I ever would have expected. And I'm not doing well. Oh. Let's see if we can get it. First step is to believe in yourself. There is a chance I'm going to take my pants off in a second so I can fucking tie this. I didn't think it would have to come to that. Looks like it might not. Looks like we're close. Aha. Don't worry, everybody. We got it. Damn, that was cool. H says that statement is only for profit at time of expiration. The way the ticker moves in the meantime is different properties. That's close. I think there's a simpler way to answer the question, but that's completely fair to start. Archduke says if probability that they are in the money goes up, the value goes up. That's a really circuitous way to talk about it. I think that actually makes it more complex than it needs to be. H says you can enter and exit to profit off of different mechanisms in the meantime. That's not it either. That Lauren says I was so confused why I was up when it didn't hit my strike. There you go. So we're on the right path. David says delta goes up, price of an option goes up. There you go. So David and Lance are right on. So the reason why that matters so much is because you don't like the way that you build these trades is completely different. Once you understand that you don't have to build them in the context of, oh, I need my strike to go in the money. You do not. You can make, I mean, like I have to imagine most of the options that I trade end up in the money from a buying perspective, but I typically buy, at least for the base position, close to the money. And I do that for a series of reasons. But the main broader point here is you absolutely can put this trade on and not have the stock ever hit your strike, and you can still make money. It's entirely doable. So I think, let me see. H says the delta will act as how much it will move per dollar in the underlying, and a sharp move will drive it through the roof. Sort of. I think the way that you're describing it, I would actually consider the description itself slightly inaccurate, but I think the broader sentiment of what you're talking about is entirely accurate. The reason why I say that, H, is delta specifically, it's a specific measurement. And delta measures the rate of change of an options premium. So the way that you're kind of framing it there is delta is acting as, and it's not, delta isn't acting as anything. Delta is what it is. And again, I'm not trying to be overly pedantic, but I'm trying to make sure that the relationships are well understood because they mean things, and the way that they will behave absolutely is different. So yeah, that's my sales pitch there. Cool. So now we understand this, hopefully. And again, this is one of those messages that I literally will continue to reiterate every single time I can, because this is one of the most common issues that new options buyers run into. And they're thinking of it this way. And it's unfortunate because you end up losing a lot of money building trades that don't make sense because of this. Troy Forsair says, shit, I learned something. Never heard it put like that. That's great. Well, I'm glad. And I mean, while we're on the topic, we literally can just look at an example because we're here. Why not, right? So let's go UTI. UTI is a great example. And let's go to the 5th of November. And we'll build a trade together. And then for the Outlier Pro members tomorrow on the live stream, there's a bunch of trades that I want to go over with you all from today. But the other quick admin note for those is for anybody that's in the mentoring side of things, make sure that you book your time. I don't want you to lose out because I'm going to have some travel later this month. I'm actually planning on going to Denver. We're looking at moving there potentially from San Diego. So we're going to go just mill about for like a week and go see what it's like. Go get a vibe check if we like. H says, remember the 5th of November. Is that a mouse or is that cat? Is that National Cat Day? Is that what that is? Okay, so now let's build some trades. The first trade that we'll do is, I mean, really, we could do super close. So we can do 35. H says DFV had a V for Vendetta meme. Is that what that is? Wait, what is that? Hold on. What am I looking at? Why is that V for Vendetta? What is this thing? It's a cat. The cat, right? Y'all have me super confused. It's not a cat. The movie V for Vendetta. Wait, no, hold on. Y'all got me bricked up. What is this thing right here that I just highlighted? What is this fucking critter doodad whoozy what's it? What is that? Remember the 5th of November. This I understand. We're quoting. That I get. This thing I don't get. I said this is a cat. And you guys told me it's not a cat. Oh, you motherfuckers. Villa Lobo, you bastard. I get it now. Because obviously Roaring Kitty is not a cat. Damn, that was a lot. That was a lot for the brain to get through. Fuck. That was a lot, but we got there. It just wasn't quick. Damn. Damn. That really took me a hot minute to get, didn't it? I'm not supremely proud of that. All right. So now let's build these two different trades. So there's a trade like this that we would have an option that's slightly in the money. And then there's a trade like this that's as far out of the money as we can go. I'm just going to do a one lot because the number of lots doesn't matter. They will make different amounts of money, but I want to show you something. So if we fast forward to the 6th and UTI flies up to 16 to 19, it hit as a high and it's at 1672. If we take a look at the option that we got into here, I don't know how well it's going to work because it's super illiquid. This is a great example. So this one decayed away literally to nothing because after earnings, all of the volatility came out of it and it was so far out of the money. It didn't gain enough delta and this one died straight in its face. That big move still wasn't enough through earnings in order for it to make money. So it's actually, I thought it was going to be worth less. I didn't realize it was going to be worth this little. That's a pretty interesting example, actually. So now, though, let's take a look at a better example that's not around earnings to show the other point about options being able to make money. Oh, it wasn't around earnings. What was this? Now I'm even more. The election. The fucking election. So that is interesting. So these companies are expecting to do really well under Trump for some reason from an education standpoint. That's actually really interesting. Okay. Anyways, back to another example. What do we want to use? Let's see if we can find something interesting. NVIDIA would work well. That would be fine for an example. Johnson & Johnson would work well. Yo, you notice this fade out here? Taking Big Pharma down? Fuck them. Fuck them. Fade them to the downside. Gilead would work great too. Let's do Gilead. And let's take a look at Gilead from the 22nd. Let's do the 11th to the 6th. Oh, this is even better in here, actually. We'll go from the 12th to the 10th. 12th. Cool. So now these will also be a lot more liquid, so we'll be able to see some stuff. Let's let this options chain load up for us. So the next seltzer water I have is grapefruit. If I don't like this, there's a 100% chance I'm going to go get a replacement, because grapefruit seltzer waters can be good or they can be appalling. And it's kind of like binary. Ooh, it smells good. It's promising. It's fantastic. Big fan. Okay, great. So now let's take a look at, Santos says, what are we trying to demonstrate? I'm going to show you that you don't need your strike to go in the money to make money. That's the broader point here. So if we grab these 90 DTEs in Gilead, we grab them for 33 cents. Just throw them on like that. That's fine. And then we can fast forward a couple weeks. I want to make sure we go before it's 90, right? So now it's at 85. So if we go back to the options chain, we had the 90s. We have $33 is what we got in for on the 90s. So once this load, let's see what the 90s are trading for after the move. We're still not at the strike, right? So we got in, what was it, like the 12th or something of the prior month? Something like that. Now look at the 90s. The 90s are trading for $1.52. So your options is still not ever gone in the money. Yet you essentially made 5 times your money because you put up 33 bucks. And you're walking out so far with 150. The most common thing that you'll see here is traders will think that this has to be in the money for you to have made money. But what happens over this time frame is as the underlying goes up, we have calls that appreciate in value across the board. Now, calls are competing from a long call perspective. They're competing against a few things. One of them is theta decay. One of them is also a contraction in volatility. So that's why understanding the relationships between the Greeks is very important, because it helps us identify what profit factors are going to change and how. So let's go back to something like this. This is looking at real time now. And if we go out 100 days or something like that, and we go, let's do a primary expiration like these 17 Jans. And I want you to look at a few things. The first thing is we can look at a delta here. We have 15 delta, these 105s. This 15 delta, if Gilead goes up by $1, these options will appreciate by 15 cents or 15 bucks. Cool. Now, your delta is going to grow by 0.03 because that is what your gamma tells you, the rate of change of delta. This is a second order Greek. We have theta, which is as each day passes, how much of the premium is going to fall away. So in this case, it's 2 cents, $2. Finally, we have vega. How much does the premium change per point change in volatility? So let's take a look at an example here, and we can look at a few different factors combined. Cool. So if we have Gilead and Gilead goes up by $1, in this context, for these 105s, you're going to get plus $15 because you're delta. You're going to lose $2 because of theta. If, for whatever reason, volatility contracted, for example, by 1.1%, then you would lose $9. So this is why understanding these relationships is super important, because you can have a scenario that if you have a low enough delta that you can actually be wiped out by other things. So let's take a look at this. 5, 3. This is a better example. Let me clear all of that. Okay. So same thing here, the 115, same example. Underlying goes up by $1. And then vol decreases by 1%. That's the scenario. So in this scenario, we're going to gain $4. If a day is passed, we're going to lose $1. Let me change this so it's easier. Bullet points. So you're going to be plus $4. You're going to lose $1 from theta. You're going to lose $3 from vega here. Right? So you see, you can get the move in your favor. This can move in your favor by $1. But based on this here, you're actually flat. You've made no money. You were correct, but you were incorrect on some of the other things, specifically volatility. So this is, again, this is why the Greeks are so important, is because the Greeks help us understand all of this stuff so that when we have a trade that we're trying to build, we can pay attention to all these individual little details and nuances so that then we can build things that represent what we're actually trying to do. I have a video that goes pretty deep into detail on the Greeks specifically here, like that. And that's like a 17-minute video that's just about the Greeks. Roy Titty says, so on the chain, is delta cumulative? No, there's no, if you're talking about do all of the deltas like this add up to something? No, they don't. So delta is going to range from 0 to 1 typically. There are anomalies that aren't really worth going into, but you will absolutely not see this add up to anything. So options that fall in the money and go further in the money, they're going to have a delta of 1. That's the max they can get to. And then options that are further out of the money, they'll have an option that they'll have a delta that approximates to 0. Orientity says, say you're 10 out of the money, then goes in the money. Do you add the deltas up? Nope. Because delta changes based on gamma. So let's say, for example, right now, Gilead is at 94. So we'll just call it 95 for simplicity. And let's say to your point, or to your example, you're about 10 points out of the money. So that would take us from 95 to 105 out here. So essentially the way that this would work is you would have your 15 delta. And then if Gilead goes up by 1 point, it would become an 18 delta. Then if it continues beyond that, its gamma would recalculate based on where it's currently at. And then it would continue to change as such. So it doesn't go linearly based on what you see here. It's a new calculation that's actually part of the differential equation of Black-Scholes-Merton. And it's going to be based off of changes in gamma, though. So Vladimir says, it's FOMO season since election. I've seen quite a few runners pull back after huge move in both directions. Yeah, man. Volatility. Movement. That's all it is. It's been absolutely beautiful out here. That, especially from any active trader's perspective, volatility is good. You literally need volatility in order to make money. It's how we make money, from movement. You can't make money as a trader if things don't move around. Now, that doesn't always mean that like max volatility or volatility that's super, super high is optimal. Not necessarily. That can be really difficult to do things like trend follow if that's your approach. But Vladimir says yes in either direction. Yeah, well, because obviously, right? Once we have the understanding of who's going to be president, we can then start discounting what impacts there are going to be based on their perceived policies. So if we go back to something like UTI, which has been really mellow, it's actually been contracting, but something that I wouldn't have expected necessarily to react as voraciously to the election, it clearly did. And it's pricing in a lot of potential profit opportunity here. So yeah, it's really interesting to find all these different kind of things moving. Mr. Igor says, what's your current core position? Well, it was equity futures, but I'm flat on them as of today. So I have nothing anymore in this, but I would like to. I just need to wait for the market to start rallying again. Like, I have no problem getting back in. So the primary positions I have right now are 2 different tranches of the covered strangle in TQs and SSO. Those are like the largest capital commitment positions. And then from a single trade perspective, I got a bunch of, well, not a bunch. I have 16 trades on now. So I've actually pared it down quite a lot, but most of them are permutations of the ratio call diagonal. And then I have some short strangles, which I actually have to look for some more short strangles because I need a little more risk premium. We might actually do that a little bit later. It smells like smoke, like cigarette smoke. I fucking hate that smell. Might have to close that window. I got to pop the door for Thor, though. That's he was very eager to go see Mel. Vladimir says, who makes the windmills used in those big wind farms? That's a great question. So, what stocks are the largest? This fucking smoke. Hold on, I gotta close it. What stocks are the largest components of the windmill industry? Let's see. Roaring Titty says, is Tesla both a green energy and an alt fuel? Not so much, I don't think. Because I mean, Tesla is an automotive, like that's at their very core. They are absolutely an automotive company. They have other elements, but NEE, leading global producer of wind and solar. Let us see. NEE. Aha. I was trading this for a little bit. I was running it to the downside, and I ended up pulling down from it. Roaring Titty says they make solar power generators and solar. Oh yeah, they make tons of stuff. I'm just saying, like, their core business is automotive. So I'm not saying that they don't have exposure to other things, but they are an automotive company. Now they're getting into like even more things from battery storage and stuff for a house. There's like the different kind of battery systems that they provide. We were looking at those for a little bit. So yeah, they got their fingers in tons of stuff. But yeah, I mean they're at their core an automotive company. Danish manufacturer, seller, installer of wind turbines, VW Dry. VW Dry. Whoa. Does this have... Damn. I was hopeful that they had options. I don't like shorting stock. I have no problem buying options, but I don't like shorting stock. It's not even like I don't like taking things to the downside that way. I don't like rooting against... it is literally like rooting against the company, and I don't really like that. Options, it's just rooting against a counterparty. So fuck that guy. But I don't like playing companies to the downside via short stock. GE Vernova. Power, wind, and electrification markets. GEV. Let's see. Yep, they don't care. Probably because they have enough in other stuff. Because the main thing is like trying to see which of these only do wind. Like this. TPIC. I haven't seen them before, but I'm guessing they wouldn't do great. Yep, that makes sense. Damn, all of these companies are so small. Aviator Geek says, with Trump, bet on oil and gas. Yeah, I think for a long perspective, but I think we're looking at... Off Putin was saying that green and alt fuels are fucked, which I think is a great... That's why we care about election policies, because we can come up with a thesis like that, which is a fair thesis, and then we can look for things to the downside. That's the primary source of any short deltas that I'm looking for, are absolutely looking from a more thematic perspective, right? So you can see, right, 5th, 6th, this is clearly a pretty significant drop follow through from the election outcome. And I mean, they're just probably going to struggle here. My guess is. The problem is that they're already so cheap that there's not much I can do with them. Significant wind assets. DNNGY. Holy shit. This is trash. Yeah, like all these I can't do anything with. Not much to be done there, unfortunately. Let's take a look at a couple scans. I was scanning earlier. This is looking at earnings. And I'm going to update this to actually look for... I need to update this really quick. I have to kill that. The scan I need to do, I want to add the ability to look for the downside as well. So I need to ask ChatGPT to help me quick. Add a max % move. Update this script to allow me to look for negative moves based on inputs. Add a maximum move input. I want to change this. Oh, how do I want to phrase it? To allow me to look for negative moves. Well, let's see what ChatGPT comes back with. Update the meets percent move. Okay, cool. That's perfect. It did exactly what I wanted. Great. So let's see if this works. This is still searching for positive, which is okay. So let's look for negative. Okay. Santos says, don't wind farms give cancer? I have never heard that, but that's actually really interesting if that's true. I literally had no idea that that's a thing. That's kind of wild to me. All right, cool. So this is now more so doing what I want it to do. This is looking for stuff that looks like it's probably gonna fade off from earnings. This still looks good for a VRP perspective. Just the option choices are terrible. Yeah, I don't hate this one. I'm going to add this to my watch list. The problem is for a lot of these, especially this kind of stuff, you have to just accept pretty illiquid stuff, but it is what it is. What is this thing doing? Let me just pop this out. Can I not detach this? There we go. I'm just moving the scan so that I can leave the chart up and flip through it. So I'm rerunning the scan. And okay. And I'm looking at this. What's this? I don't know who these guys are. So this looks interesting to me. Yeah, because it looks like target is like 32. So this is, I mean, a lot of the moves already done. So this is the kind of thing that I would use short calls instead to gain some short theta. It doesn't look like it's a big perspective move. And they're liquid enough. So backs gets added to the list. Backs. Okay. What about this one? Whoa. Nope. This one I like. Yeah, I like this one to the downside. This would be an alert if it rallies back up above the point of control. And nope, don't want those. Put side, how's the vol? What I'm doing now is just looking to see what kind of vol. Out of the money. Yeah, the 15 no's are trash. They're both cheap. Between like the 15 and the 20 handle on the put side. Between the 20 Ds and the 17 Jan. The 20 Ds, these are cheap. Too low of a delta though. 57, these are cheap too. Kind of like these. So the U, all of that. U will be LPs. H says, any thoughts on the options chain on GME being expanded out to 50? It's just standard. So they'll have different strikes that they offer, and as prior expirations come up, and demand is there, they'll offer new ones. So yeah, I don't think there's really anything to read into there. ACMR. Doesn't look good. Not bad. Redfin. I'm wondering if they fall below here. If they fall below here, that's interesting. So we'll change this. Another current scan. We'll add this on here. Okay. This, oh, that looks terrible. $88. So this is an interesting one. I would want to see it below here. ACAM. All I'm doing here, by the way, is I'm looking at earnings and I'm following things through the direction of earnings. It's pretty much all that's happening here. Like, this is in straight free fall. Which this is fascinating because gold is doing really well. So the fact that Barrick is doing so terribly is not good. There's really no reason for them to be falling like this. They must have had a fucked up earnings. What's vol at? Vol's high. This would be okay to sell. Yeah. I don't hate this one. What is this gold? GOLD. Chris says, I had a good day with Rock Lab. Happy more stuff is going into orbit. Yeah, that's popped up on a few lists for us. RKLB is awesome. Yeah, and it still looks really good. I mean, I still have exposure to it and I'll maintain exposure. And my guess is it'll probably consolidate for a little bit before another perspective breakout. Yeah, because it's had several legs at this point. 1 leg, 2 leg, 3 leg, 4 leg. This is a 5th big leg. I think this is good. The only downside here is that it has to be done pretty carefully. Because as things start getting a little more extended, it's just a higher risk entry. Let's take a look at earnings. Yeah, it didn't impress on earnings. That's not good. But it looks like it's still happy with it. So projections on it obviously are good. Because it came in at 10 cents. It was estimated at negative 10 cents, to be clear. It was estimated at negative 11.3. So right now, after hours is trading at 18. So obviously really good forward guidance. So this will have a nice pop tomorrow. Yeah, that's rad. All right, so let's see now for, let's do this. I want to look for more breakout stuff. Seems so low, 578. Why is it only 578? I think this is wrong. Because there's definitely more than 578 with options. That's what I want it to look for, though. Let me take a look at the calendar, by the way, see, because I think I have a podcast. Yeah. I have a podcast on Thursday with Tom Basso. In case anybody has anything that you want me to cover with him, he'll be the second podcast for the month. All right, let's see what's in here. This is a lot of names. That's too many names. So this is looking for at least 410. I mean, this is a good scan setup. Blue. That looks good. What do these guys have? How'd they do? They did okay. HT. The fuck is this? Man, that's a volatile ass stuff. Cockpit. Wind. This one. This one looks good. What do these guys do? Why is there no fundamentals? That's weird. There's no fundamentals for these guys. Why? Bizarre. CEO's been popped up a couple times. We need to take a quick look at the sectors. Zach says, how about Mara? Let's take a look. We'll take a look at Mara in just a sec. I want to see if there's any others here that I can set up some alerts for. Where's the fundamentals tab? Yo, if they got rid of that, I'm gonna be salty. What is this? RVLV? E-commerce fashion. Interesting. Well, let's get an alert here for these guys. Now, the way that I typically do this is simple. Is I set tons of alerts for stuff, and then over the course of the day, they'll go off like fireworks on the phone all day. And then I just casually poke through them. Lyft. How did Lyft do on... Yeah, Lyft like the election. And it looks like it's kind of comfortable up here. I don't know why they're doing well. Yeah, because they're not. That's why. That was about to be impressive to me. PCT. PCT. Let me double check. Yeah, PCT is already on via triangle. So PCT is left alone. URCT. You get an alert. And let's take a look at Mara. Ooh, good earnings. Sort of. Good earnings report, but not actually great earnings result. Yeah. So it looks like it's going to trend down tomorrow. After hours right now, it's running at like 23 and closed at 25. So yeah, this looks a little bit bearish, obviously. The other thing is just for earnings, it I don't know, it kind of has like competing things going on here because it obviously really liked the election originally. That was super well received. And then earnings on the 12th. Yeah. So what made it jump here though on the 11th? Why did it do that? Is it just Bitcoin related? Yeah. Yeah, so it's mostly just from Bitcoin. Anod says, can we look at TSHA? We absolutely can. Let's take a peek though at these options really fast. I mean, tons of call skew. So people are absolutely super bullish. That's interesting. It just doesn't really look that good to me. Like, this is one of those trades where it's like I want to see the positive to putting on some sort of long thesis, and I just don't feel that way about it. Yeah. Looks like my DoorDasher is struggling to find my house. Let me drop him a map. Aviator Greek says BlackRock filed 13G for MVIS. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so like this clearly has call skew. People are very clearly trading it to the upside. The main thing is like I don't know how the thought goes between that versus something that's like up meaningfully. Maybe it's thought of as a little bit more of like a catch-up play, but it's clearly not leading in the sector. It's struggling compared to other things that are doing well. So I don't love it from that perspective, and I'm really pissed off that the fundamental tab is gone. If that's gone, I am going to be really pissed off. And then the other one I said we would look at was TSHA. Fucking knew it was going to be a penny stock. Just the fucking name of it. This just looks like biotech shit. Heisha Gene. The thing about, and that's not like biotech is just biotech. You can't really trade biotech like normal stuff. It's almost like a mini GameStop to a degree, where biotech lives or die by the sword being whatever it is that they're trying to get approved. And yeah, like if there's not some sort of good approval that happens, then they're fucked. This is why biotech tends to be a really, really great spot actually to trade, to trade variance risk premiums, because of how crazy price movement is. But every once in a while you get your face ripped off. So you have to size these really carefully. I have an entire scan for biotech, but yeah, you have to trade that kind of stuff really carefully. So TSHA, I don't really know anything about it to have an opinion. And what I can tell you though, is that the movement that you see is going to have to do with some sort of phase trial release or whatever. Let's see. Let's see. That's not it. Here we go. Buy rating at a $6 target. That's a good low risk play though. $7 price target. So a lot of this is from ratings changes. Okay. And let's see how it looks from an options perspective into its earnings release. Bullish? Yeah, they're definitely front running. So if we look at the 15 NOV, it's super small. So it doesn't look like there's a ton of like really informed trades or insider trading going on because those positions are so small. But I mean, people are definitely playing it to the upside on a relative basis, 4 times the calls to puts. So yeah, people definitely like that. What do we have from an economic perspective? No. Damn, look at that. 30 years already back up to 7 and change. Damn. That's crazy. That's really crazy. And tomorrow CPI, Thursday PPI. Just from a inflation perspective, those will be important, but I don't think it'll be too massive at this point. I think we're kind of locked in on a current trajectory. That's my guess. Yeah. Chris says, what are your thoughts in general on short-term plays in high IV stocks with heavy bullish sentiment in the options chain? It's not as decisive. Well, it's, at least for me, those are just data points is the way I look at it. Like what you're outlining there are components of a trading process. I call the outlier trading process, right? There's the outlier strategy process, the outlier trading process. Both of those have a section that analyzes what I call signals, which is essentially just information in some sort of context. So something like short term is a time frame preference. That doesn't really mean anything. High IV is a signal of sort. It tells us some qualities about the underlying that we're looking at. And then heavy bullish sentiment is just another signal. So there's not a trade decision on that for me. Those are data points that I would integrate, but there's not something I would look at there and say like, oh yeah, if I see tons of calls in something that has high IV, I'm going to trade it to the upside. There's absolutely more to it than that. And it's just because you have to think for those options, you never know the perspective of why they're there or the basis of the trade. And that perspective is ultimately really fucking important. Now we can come up with ideas and inferences, but as I always talk about, I look at stuff in the context of a probabilistic play. What is the probability of a move happening or not happening? And just seeing a lot of options to the upside, it's an important data point, but it's not what I would make the decision off of personally. So yeah. All right, gang. Time for me to go grab dinner. If you guys need anything, let me know. For the Outlier Pro members, I'll see you on the stream tomorrow. Be an outlier. I'll see y'all later.